I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator, it's because he is. It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully.
Is there something going on that we're missing?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, whose balls is he hiding in his cheeks? That's the first question I want to know. And I don't love the way he says, fierce.
Yeah.
Tim Walz's carefully crafted public image just took a serious hit. Tyrus didn't hold anything back. He ripped the curtain wide open for everyone to see what's really underneath. This wasn't some random rant or passing comment. It was Tyrus going full force, tearing through Walz's past like someone cracking open a sealed vault. And what spills out feels wilder than a late-night circus act. Once Tyrus starts unloading, there's nowhere left to hide. Walz is left exposed with no cover and no escape.
It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back. This is a weak, cruel man that takes it out and punches.
Tyrus didn't wake up one morning, grab a cup of coffee, and casually decide to throw Tim Walz into the conversation. Not even close. He saw the non-stop headlines, watched the chaos building, and finally decided he'd had enough. And when Tyrus reaches that point, it doesn't sound like a quiet disagreement. It explodes like a WWE promo, packed with energy, drama, and the promise of total destruction crashing straight through the political living room table.
Masculinity is deeply part of it. That's one of the, I mean, I think it goes, and you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement.
How do you fight it?
This notion
I think
of
I could kick most of their.
What he's mad about is his own fault. He's mad about the image that was portrayed of him as the hunter. And who did that? You did that. We just laughed about it because the one thing you can't do is you can't front. You can't floss. Those are two key words when it comes to manhood. You can't.
If you're enjoying this takedown so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Tyrus is going all in on Tim Walz, and people are stunned. Not because Tyrus is loud, that's nothing new, but because the spotlight is suddenly locked onto Minnesota's everyday dad turned governor. And that polished, relatable image starts cracking apart like a pothole-filled Walmart parking lot after a brutal winter.
Yeah. A teacher snatches the bully's ass up. Yeah. Come sit with me. That's what I know. Someone's bullying. Oh, you can sit with me for a while. And then I would lean on him. I'd bully him back. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a creepy guy who can't remember his speeches. I don't know what the hell was in the water in that White House, or was everyone on the same bad cocaine? But Kamala can't speak. He can't speak. Biden was so high he couldn't remember anything. Like, this is literally the dumbest administration of all time. Why is he talking?
It really is the ultimate clown show. And I said this in the 5. He's a clown without a...
Tim Walz has been sold to America as the calm, everyday guy next door. The kind of neighbor who'd help you carry a couch, wave while mowing the lawn, or bring potato salad to the church picnic. But Tyrus isn't buying any of it. He's poking at that image with suspicion, looking it over carefully and saying, this doesn't feel authentic. It smells like politics left baking in the sun.
I feel bad for Elon.
Mm-hmm.
I would be furious if I was him.
Mm-hmm.
If this is who you sent to troll me?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong to get the guy from D Team to come out at Family Theater and call me names?
Yeah.
Like, Tim, I would, if they were like, oh, Tyrus, man, tough news cycle. Tim Walz is talking about you. I'd be like, oh, Timmy, I want to fight him so bad.
And that's where the first real blow lands. Tyrus doesn't view Walz as some lovable small-town everyman. He sees a polished politician who mastered the art of smiling while quietly slipping policies through the back door like hidden fees on a hotel bill. On paper, Walz' story sounds inspiring. Teacher, football coach, veteran, defender of small-town values. Hearing it, you'd think he was the walking version of a feel-good insurance commercial. But according to Tyrus, once Walz got into office, the image stopped matching reality. And that's where Tyrus digs in, because nothing frustrates people more than the gap between political promises and actual results. In his eyes, Walz' contradictions are enormous, bigger than a Minnesota pothole in the middle of January. That's when Tyrus starts pulling out examples, not with charts and spreadsheets, but with sharp comedy and brutal punchlines. He points to things like the COVID lockdowns, where buying alcohol at a gas station stayed legal, while sitting in a church pew didn't. Then he keeps going, dragging out years of contradictions and policy reversals stacked up like trading cards. Only this collection doesn't make Walz look heroic. It turns him into the punchline.
My tweets, my DMs, like just one arm, and I just want to slap the. He's so weak. He brings nothing. If you were going to go after someone man to man, hit him with a fact. Hit him with something real.
Yes.
You don't have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, "Hey, Tim, you want a job?" he would take it because that's what spineless. He would. And when he was questioned, he was like, "I was just holding him in account. You know, I respect him, and I'm so happy to be working for X." He is the worst player on their team, and they don't mind sending him out because
They're trying to get him off the table.
Yeah.
They're putting him out early so he can't be a factor later.
One moment Walz supports something, the next moment he's backing away from it, depending on whichever direction the political winds are blowing. And if anyone thinks Tyrus is letting that pass quietly, they're mistaken. He doesn't just call Walz inconsistent, he compares him to a circus performer auditioning for Cirque du Soleil with all the backflips he's done to stay politically comfortable. At this rate, if Walz ever leaves politics, Tyrus jokes he could probably move straight into an acrobatics show and still nail the landing. It's like hearing a politician brag about shopping at Target while arriving in a luxury SUV worth more than most people's homes. The disconnect feels massive, wide enough to march the entire Minnesota Vikings offensive line through with room left over. But Tyrus doesn't stop at the policies. He zeroes in on the act itself.
Rachel Levine, look, he has a sports coat and a zip-up sweater underneath. No man wears that.
I may have done that in the past.
Yes.
I won't now, Tyrus.
No, and one day somebody's going to explain what a corporate income tax is to these people. It's not paid by this. It's not paid by the corporation. It's not like a building that goes, "I've got to pay taxes." It's the workers.
Because modern politics is just as much about performance as it is about substance. Walz knows how to play the role perfectly. He has the tone, the appearance, the carefully practiced regular guy energy. But to Tyrus, it's all smoke and mirrors. He compares it to watching a magician at a kid's birthday party. Everyone else is amazed by the trick, while he's standing in the back yelling, "Watch his sleeve!" That blunt honesty is exactly why people pay attention. Once the illusion gets exposed, it's impossible to ignore. Suddenly, Walz's ordinary guy image starts looking less authentic and more like a political Instagram filter. The pandemic response created the first cracks. Gyms closed while liquor stores stayed open, but the biggest spotlight came after George Floyd's death, when protests erupted, businesses burned, fear spread, and leadership was desperately needed. Critics accused Walz of hesitation, confusion, and delayed action. Tyrus goes straight at it, painting Walz as someone frozen in the middle of chaos, standing at a massive fire with nothing but a garden hose, and hoping the wind changes direction.
Though,
That's a big red flag. Whenever you meet someone and they have to give you
Well,
their
I
resume,
have, yes.
Yeah.
and then as soon as they talk, you're like, that's why you gave me your resume.
Yeah, because it doesn't speak for itself.
You suck.
Yeah. It's like when people have their PhD
Yes.
on their Twitter handle. It's like, this person's completely bonkers.
And their pronouns.
Yes. Are you mad, though, Tyrus, that, like, beards have been kind of co-opted by beta males like Tyler?
No, because
Watch what you
it's
say.
like all. Wait, hold on. Watch what I say. I will around, stick my hand up your back, and make you my puppet for the rest of.
That's when the sarcasm reaches another level, because Tyrus doesn't simply argue that Walz failed. He turns the whole thing into a comedy scene. Imagine a neighbor promising to repair your fence, then showing up with duct tape and a shrug. That's the image Tyrus plants in people's minds, and once it's there, it sticks. By the time he's done, Walz no longer looks like a politician who made a few mistakes. He comes across as a walking contradiction, wrapped in folksy charm, hoping nobody notices the messy policies taped underneath. What makes Tyrus's attacks hit so hard isn't only the message, it's the delivery. He doesn't sound like some robotic analyst buried in paperwork. He sounds like the loud relative at Thanksgiving who finally blurts out that the turkey is dry. Walz, meanwhile, is known for making big promises. Free programs, expanded benefits, opportunities for everyone. On paper, it sounds like Minnesota is about to become some Nordic paradise, filled with lakes, loons, and affordable healthcare for every goldfish in town. But according to Tyrus, the execution feels less like a polished master plan and more like a middle school group project where everyone forgot their assignment until the night before.
I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bid.
That's where Tyrus really gets rolling. He says Walz talks like the hero in a Hallmark movie, but governs like someone who abandoned the script halfway through and started improvising. Politics turns into karaoke. Everyone recognizes the song at first, but by the second verse, he's mumbling and hoping nobody notices. Take taxes, for example. Walz brands himself as the defender of working families. Yet many of those same families keep opening their mailboxes to find larger tax bills waiting inside. And Tyrus doesn't explain it with dry economic jargon. Instead, he paints Walz sneaking through people's living rooms at night, digging through couch cushions for spare change, before proudly claiming he's investing in the future. Meanwhile, Minnesota's schools continue struggling. Test scores decline, curriculum debates explode, and parents feel more confused than a cat dropped into a swimming pool. Tyrus points directly at the irony. A former teacher who once preached responsibility, now steering the state's education system straight into one iceberg after another.
What do you make? Whoa, you got something there?
Hold on, before we do this, man, I got to protein up. Hold on.
Chug, 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 chug. Oh, he's chugging it. Hold on. Oh, man.
I need more protein, Gutfeld. I got my protein pudding, my protein shakes, jerky if you piss me off, but this ain't enough protein for this segment, Greg. I gotta old school this story here.
Where'd you get that?
Then there's Law and Order, where the contradictions alone could fill an entire Netflix series. Walz presents himself as the compassionate leader, focused on fairness, reform, and justice. But when chaos breaks out, businesses board up their windows and leaders scramble for answers, critics argue the response falls apart. Tyrus compares it to a bad sitcom scene. The governor walking into total mayhem, clapping his hands and saying, "Okay, everybody, let's settle down," while everything collapses around him like Black Friday madness at Walmart. And then there's his military background. Walz's service is often presented as proof of leadership and credibility, something he leans on whenever criticism grows louder. Tyrus frames it as the political equivalent of pulling out baby photos during an argument. But here's where he twists the knife. He doesn't just challenge Walz's contradictions. He mocks the performance behind them. According to Tyrus, Walz has perfected the art of looking stern when necessary and cheerful whenever polling numbers demand it. He compares it to a mood ring from the 90s, constantly changing colors based on whatever emotion the public is feeling at the moment.
I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there? I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just where.
And this is where the comedy really lands. Tyrus jokes that Walz seems like the kind of guy who practices empathy in the mirror before every press conference. Should I tilt my head more? Do I look concerned enough? Maybe 30 degrees. No, 45. It's exaggerated, but the mental image sticks immediately. Suddenly, people can't help imagining Walz rehearsing his "I deeply care" expression in the bathroom mirror. At the same time, Tyrus tears into Walz's constant message of unity. He loves talking about bringing people together, which sounds inspiring on the surface. But critics point out that Minnesota often looked about as united as a Monopoly game after 2 hours. Arguments everywhere, rules disputed, and someone storming away from the table. Walz rolls up his sleeves, leans into his small-town roots, and tosses out the occasional dad joke to appear relatable. But to Tyrus, it's no different than a used car salesman putting on a baseball cap to seem trustworthy. The vehicle's still broken. He just looks friendlier while selling it. And that's the deeper point Tyrus pushes. The contradictions aren't limited to policy. They're built directly into the image itself. In his view, Walz isn't an ordinary everyman. He's a carefully polished political product designed for maximum appeal.
Former VP nominee Tim Walz, he joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris menstrual cramps. I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them.
So, wait, you lost because you weren't woke enough?
And once Tyrus strips away that polished packaging, the Minnesota nice image disappears. What's left looks like the same old politics, just dressed in plaid instead of a business suit. By this stage, the audience isn't only laughing anymore, they're nodding along. Even people who disagree with some of the jokes can still recognize the pattern forming. The contradictions pile up higher, the irony cuts deeper, and the humor makes the whole thing impossible to forget. That's when Tyrus changes direction. He stops treating Walz as just one politician and turns him into a symbol for a much larger problem. Leaders who promise one thing do another and still expect applause for the performance. In Tyrus's version of events, Walz runs Minnesota like someone assembling IKEA furniture without instructions. Pieces don't line up, screws go missing, and the whole thing wobbles the second you lean on it. Yet there he stands, confidently gripping the Allen wrench and insisting everything is under control. By the time Tyrus unleashes this second wave of criticism, Walz's carefully managed image no longer looks like a strong leader. It looks more like a flimsy prop in a political stage production. And the audience stays hooked, because once somebody starts pulling back the curtain, it's impossible to stop watching.